Wow, do we have a good episode for you today? I have the best-selling author, Chad Hymas. He talks about his book, Doing What Must Be Done. And let me tell you, the Wall Street Journal says he's one of the 10 most inspirational people in the world. And he's in the Speaker Hall of Fame, the youngest to ever be inducted at only 37 years old. It's a heartfelt, genuine, true conversation, one I know you're going to love. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay till the end because his definition of success is so good, I made him say it twice. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Wherever you are and however you are listening, thank you so much for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today's a special one for me. I got the pleasure of seeing Chad speak in person 4 years ago, almost to the day. It was at the Southern Utah Tourism Summit, Chad, in Kanab, Utah, and it was on election day in 2020. So it was literally almost exactly 4 years ago to the day. And something,
it was COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID. Yep.
So nobody voted anyway. So
yeah. So very cool to have you on. I couldn't be more excited. It's not every day I get to have one of the 10 most inspirational people in the world on my podcast, and that's a title that the Wall Street Journal gave you. So I can't wait to get it rolling. So Chad, thanks for being here.
Backwards a little bit. They do. They get it backwards. So
I don't know about that. That's a pretty prestigious award. When did you get that? Do you know?
I was back in 2000. You know, it's a good question. 2024 now. Had to be 2000. I've got it sitting here in the frame of my office. I do. I just can't see it from this far away. But 2012 or 2013, something like that. So it's so old that it doesn't mean anything anymore.
If I had that title, I think I'd get like a necklace and just wear it around.
There you go.
Just to remind,
some sort of bling,
just to remind people. But it was really awesome. In fact, we had you come speak because you had spoke at the Utah Tourism Conference, I think a few years prior, up in like Heber. And Breck Dockstader saw you speak, and he was like, he's like, it made me cry. It was one of the most powerful speeches I've ever seen. And he's like, we got to get him. And that's kind of how it came together.
That's really nice, man. Thanks. I mean, you're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to laugh, but yeah, no, that's all good. That's great.
It was all the spectrums of emotion, I think. And it made me think, I'm curious, how did you get into the speaking and how long have you been doing it?
So I've been doing it 24 years. And man, you're starting off with a trigger right off the bat. I wasn't supposed to be doing this. I mean, I've always wanted to shine down. I mean, we live out on a ranch. I mean, you can see kind of the backdrop. I'm in a kind of a log type office, and we raise elk. And I'll just make this brief. I was injured while building the dream of out here. I was actually injured out here 24 years ago, and became, you know, what you see today with the curled fingers, and I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm 95% numb. But when I was in the hospital, my dad had previously seen a speaker speak like 2 months before in Dallas, Texas, from a wheelchair. And he brought his tape for me to watch and to see, but I wasn't really coherent enough to watch it. And so when I came to, I watched this guy speak. And it was a VHS tape, which tells you how long ago this was.
Yeah.
I mean, now we have Netflix. So I'm watching this VHS tape, and I was just totally blown away by it. Not by the speaking. I don't even remember what he said. I just know that he was happy, and I was ticked because here I am, you know, building a dream, and now I break my neck, and I'm 95% numb. And this guy's happy, and he's in the same circumstances I am. His hands look the same. His configuration looked the same. It's just, he was happy and I wasn't. So I couldn't get enough of that. So my dad called up his office. His name was Art Berg, ordered more medicine for me, which was the VHS tapes, whatever he had, his books. And we did not know that I was going to receive it the next day by Art in person. He delivered it to me.
Wow.
I had no idea. And so when he came to me, he set down the gift of goodies, the VHS tapes and the books. He set that down. He got on my bed with no hands, on my hospital bed, and he began to take off his hoodie and his jeans, not because he was being disrespectful or you know, he was showing me what was possible.
Yeah.
And I followed that guy for the next 9 months and learned a lot about him. I went to his house. He came out to the ranch and we went on an LK ride. And Art passed away 9 months after I met him.
Wow.
And they had never been in a bigger loss. So I went out here on the ranch roads and started pushing my chair, and it came to me. I wonder if I couldn't fill some shoes that now, or fill a void that the world was missing. And so that happened 24 years ago, and I've been speaking ever since. That's how it started.
And how did you become such a powerful speaker? I mean, you're in the National Speaker Hall of Fame and you made it at 37. So I believe you're the youngest person to ever make
And the
it.
youngest. They keep screwing this stuff up. Wall Street Journal, NSA, they just messed up. I don't want. I guess maybe I have a knack for trying to just be passionate about what I do and love it, and let people know that I love it. And I think it's more that than it is. I mean, you could tell that I'm not very charismatic. I don't think I am. I don't think I'm the greatest speaker. I've heard speakers that are better, and I just I don't know. I'm passionate about what I do, and I think when you're passionate about what you do, how can you not be in the Hall of Fame and other people? When you love what you do and other people can see that you love what you do, you're a Hall of Famer. No matter if you're the best baseball player on the team or the worst. You love it, people see it, and they're inspired by it. I have seen a cheerleader go out and cheerlead who has Down syndrome. She doesn't know how to dance. She doesn't know move. She's having a blast. She's a Hall of Famer in my book. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I remember something that was unique that you did in Kanab is that you never got on the stage. And obviously you've got limitations with your wheelchair, but I believe we had a ramp. You could have been, but you wanted to be on the floor and you went around and really connected with people. Is that something you typically do during your speeches, or
only if the room is small enough, and the audience
yeah,
is when you're like yesterday was 5,000 people. I can't do that.
of course. Yeah. Yeah. We had like 200 people there.
200 people.
Yep.
Man, if I can be on the floor, we're doing it. We're doing it. I mean, it's just like you said, it's just so much more engaging, and I get to see people's faces. I get to roam around the room and show some different things that I really can't show on a platform, or on a stage. So yeah, I'll jump after it if we can do it on the floor.
So where you've been doing it for 24 years, have you invested in like the skill of speaking? Have you taken speaking courses or classes to enhance your ability to like deliver through tone and things like that? Or is it all just natural for you?
I haven't. So I've invested in that. I'm a member of an association of speakers, and you can learn a lot about the business, storytelling. But I think I've got most of my experience by watching other speakers on YouTube, TEDx talks.
Yeah.
Some of the general authorities in my church that I really enjoy. And what is their style? How do they relate personal stories and the power of storytelling to a principle that can change somebody's life? And if I can do that, then I think we can accomplish something rather than just me going in and sharing my story. Not too many people break their neck where I broke mine and lived through it. So I try and relate principle to storytelling and the power of storytelling and the power of influence, and make that resonate with the people that I'm speaking to.
There's something. So when my book came out, one of my goals was to become a speaker, and I started that journey now, and I'm about like a year and a half in, and I actually am flying to Norfolk, Virginia in 2 weeks for my first paid gig. That's when you're really a speaker, because I've been speaking for free, because you'll take whatever you can get to speak wherever you can. And so now they're flying me out and paying for me to do it. So it's like, it feels more real. But
you can buy yourself a salmon that night. You didn't pay for it. It's unreal how that works.
Yeah, it's nice. And so what's cool about it is that it's changed the way I watch speakers, right? Because like when I saw you speak, it wasn't on my agenda to become a speaker. So I was really just enjoying it. Where now when I watch someone speak, I watch it in a similar way to almost how I watch sports, where
I'm critiquing it.
And I'm really focusing on where are they standing and when are they pausing and how are they using their
pause.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're critiquing it.
Yes.
And what ends up happening at the end of that critique? If you're like me, you say, I can do that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I mean, I can do that and I can do it better.
Yeah.
That's not to be arrogant or
no, yeah, you got to believe in yourself.
It builds your confidence because you know that you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that ranch that you're on, that's your 51,000 acre elk preserve, right?
Right. Yep. That's where Shonda and I live.
Wow, what an
Yeah.
amazing thing. So do hunters come out there, or what do you do with
Yeah.
that land? That's what
Yeah.
it's
We have
for?
built a lodge. If you look up
Okay, I
royalcreekranches.com,
saw that on your Instagram.
yeah. And if you go to Google or look it up, there's a lot of photos and videos. So we still have the passion. I've changed that a little bit. And then we have the lodge so I can do my leadership retreats here instead of flying to Marriott or a Hilton. I can now that I've traveled, I can bring people out here and do retreats or marriage retreats or youth conferences or youth events or whatever it is that we're doing. Sleep them out here, feed them, take care of them, and do that kind of on our own terms and let them enjoy my passion, which is, horses. We love the ATV. We love fishing ponds. We love elk, and let them enjoy all that and kind of do something that other venues can't provide. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to offer something that really is a kind of a mixture of my passion, my dream, and in the hopes that others will create their own dreams in their own sphere. So that's the idea.
Well, and you are doing so many events. I mean, even just to get scheduled with you, you got a pretty busy schedule. How many events are you doing in a year?
Last year I did 212, I think, on the road. The
Wow.
lodge wasn't complete then. The lodge was just finished last September. Maybe we got occupancy in November, so it's been about 9 or 10 months. And so I've scaled back a little bit. But I have some good help that helps kind of run the ranch, and I will fly in. That's why I'm here today. I speak here at the lodge tomorrow, and then I'll
Okay.
fly back out on Sunday.
Wow.
So if I can do an event and just have the staff take care of them while they're here, I'll come in and spend time with them and speak to them and spend a day with them and then get back on the road. That's kind of how I like to do it.
I love that. And is there, of all the places you've gone to, traveled, and spoke, is there an event that sticks out to you as your favorite, or something where you had a moment of like, wow, I'm really doing this, that really sticks out to you?
I know that I've been asked that question. An actual event that sticks out to me were um I there's been a couple, and I think one that really sticks out is when I shared with my wife. She does not like to speak. She does not like to be in front of an audience, but to listen to her, and yet, like you said, I'm the one that has all the accolades and people recognize my name on social media. Nobody knows Shondell. She's not on social media. It's just she doesn't do that. She's not a best-selling author. But when I heard Shondell speak, maybe I'm biased, but I don't think so. I thought, boy, I have a lot of work to do. She's good. I mean, that girl, people love her. They absolutely love her, and she resonates. And so, and I've spoken more with her. I'm speaking more with my son now, who's come on board with me, and I feel the same way about him. But people really resonate with Shondell, and so when I get the privilege of sharing the platform with my wife, I want to take as little time as possible, give her the floor, even though she doesn't like it. And I just people can resonate with Shondell because she is raw. She's very raw. She's very uh, she's not professional, so she can relate to people. She's not, and you can tell, and that's what people love about her, and I love it. So
Well, and I mean, obviously you broke your neck and you're in a wheelchair, but she's been along that journey with you too, right?
yeah,
And
it's there.
in some instances, that's probably just as challenging.
I think it's more.
Yeah.
I think it's way more challenging.
Yeah.
Way. I mean, yeah. I don't get me wrong. I would never wish to have the roles reversed. I wouldn't want to have Shondell, not be able to hold a child or feel her hands. And I'm not saying that for pity's sake. I just that girl has helped me shower. She's helped clean me. She's helped me get up when I fall out of my chair. And I just it's a thankless job. People don't see it. They don't see her dark days, and not that she has a lot of them. I don't know that I've ever seen one. She's just always so bright, and she's an angel from God. I mean, I always tell people I'm probably not going to make it to heaven. I mean, you know that just by hearing me speak. But I will tell God that I married one of His angels, and that might get a foot in the door. That's kind of my goal. So anyway,
Yeah, I think that's really commendable. Speaking about being a best-selling author, I've got your book here actually. Doing what
yeah,
must
you
be
do.
done. Yep.
Yeah.
Best-selling book. So tell the listeners who are listening to this, maybe haven't been exposed to your speaking or your books, what can you expect from doing what must be done? What would you say the purpose and the takeaways for the reader are?
The takeaways for that book are really to take when they go throughout the day, they listen to something inspirational or see something inspirational on TV, or listen to an inspirational podcast, or maybe receive a lesson from mom or dad, to take away one or two, no more than that, of those items, and put them into place immediately. Do what must be done to make the next day successful. So really, that book is about the power of incrementalism and how powerful that is. You and I, by the way, just got done talking about. So I'm going to switch gears here real quick.
Sure.
Something just happened in my office about the most impactful speech that I ever gave, and I said it was with my wife.
Yeah.
It just so happened because she is raw. She's very she doesn't like it. She doesn't like the screen. She's probably going to get mad at me right now for doing this, but she just walked into my office, and that was unexpected. I haven't seen her in a couple of days, and so I'm just going to let people be introduced to her. I figured the worst thing she can do is tip me over my chair, and I've done that before a lot. So I'm going to make her come. I'm sorry, but we just got them talking about this. And so you're the one that walked in here. And so come over and say hello. I'm on a podcast. It's live.
Fortuitous.
And we're doing this. This hasn't happened, by the way, at any other podcast ever. And I've done like hundreds of them.
I can't imagine.
So this will be a special podcast. I just got to, she's going to come say hi. She just got done. My wife's passions are horses and the temple. She does a lot of service work. So she just got out of the temple. So she's in a dress. Can you say hello?
Nice to meet you.
This is my wife, Shondell. And we were just talking about how I'm recognized and I get all the credit, but no one sees what happens behind the scenes and who sacrifices the most. And that is you. And then he asked me what was one of the most memorable speaking experiences, and I couldn't think of one. I thought, well, it was when I shared the stage with you and people love you more than me. And I just love that. So I'm grateful for that. And we've been married for 30 years.
I was just going to ask. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked her what got us to 30 years, and she said she didn't marry me for my body. I didn't really like that answer. I mean, I don't know how you respond to that. That's not really a compliment, So anyway. Anything you want to add to that, Shondell, or no?
No, just be careful how you answer that question.
So that's great. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for popping in. That's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
That's great. What a real moment.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She is an angel for sure.
So when you're talking about incremental achievements and movement, so that's really interesting. So you probably haven't been exposed to my book yet, but so my book is Winning the Moment, which I've got.
I see it.
Yeah, I got it right here. And what it's about is that I struggled to ever do things for myself. Not professionally, because if it's at my job and someone asks me to do it, then I always do it. I'd say over deliver quite frequently. It's like if I worked for you and you said, Cody, we got an event tomorrow. I need you at the barn at 6 a.m. to set it all up. I'll be there at 5:45 and have it done before you show up at 6, But if I said, in order for my health, I need to be at the gym at 6, I just wouldn't do it. Right. I just can't. And it's because
you do things for others, you don't do for yourself.
Yes. And I really struggled with forever decisions. So if I was like, oh, I'm not going to have coffee anymore. And then if I ended up having a coffee, I'd say, well, I'm just going to continue to drink coffee now because I already blew it, versus, well, I just won't have it tomorrow. And so what I realized, this actually happened during COVID, because that's when I really found that I needed it the most. And I had created a spreadsheet where I was measuring everything that mattered to me that I knew I needed to do to be the best version of myself. And all through 2019, I did that. I lost 40 pounds. I read the most books I've ever read. Yeah. Had just a tremendous growth. And I carried that into 2020. But it was in March, when COVID hit, and I couldn't go to the gym anymore. And I just kind of became a victim of circumstance. And I allowed all of that hard work I did to just kind of fall to the wayside. And the spreadsheet wasn't working anymore. And so I was like, how can I change the way that I approach things? And so Winning the Moment is about incremental decisions. So I don't have to say, I'm never going to have candy ever again. I can just say I'm not going to have candy right now. And what we're searching for
Every day consistently
yes,
builds up, right?
and we're searching for moments, right? And for dopamine. And so what I've done is I wear these bracelets. And so if I go into the break room at 3:00 and I'm just dragging, I need something. Well, maybe I grab a Snickers, but as soon as I'm done eating it, I think, damn it, why did I eat that Snickers, right? And so now I don't have the Snickers and I move this bracelet from one wrist to the other. That gives me the dopamine that the Snickers would have given me, but without any of the regret. And if I can just make 10 good decisions every day, however long the runway is, I'm going to be better off than I was without making those decisions.
That is awesome. No, it's the small things that we do every day that make the biggest difference. And when you break stuff up like that, I mean, I haven't traveled to 89 countries because I'm special, because I have more money, because I'm better than anybody else, or because I'm a great speaker. It's the little things that we do every day, like you just said, your book, and how that comes across that is really the grand sum of everything. So I think you're spot on.
And I think part of it too is deciding what matters to you. So in that book, I'm not prophesizing that you should do any particular activity. It's just determine what you want out of life and then have those activities be reflective of that thing. Because I think society can get us in a difficult situation where we think we're supposed to want something. So then when we have a hard time doing that thing, we feel like we're lesser than or we're losers, but really that thing just doesn't fulfill us. And that's why we can't get ourselves to do it. Even though society says, do this thing, we don't want to.
You're right. No, I love it. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I set a world record. I pushed my chair from Salt Lake to Las Vegas.
I did 513 miles.
Yeah. And the only reason I bring that up is because I quit in that race. I quit. I stopped. I kind of like Forrest Gump, he's running from Atlantic, Pacific, and Pacific to Atlantic and Canada to Mexico and back. And then out of nowhere, he just stops, which he says, I think I'll go home now. That's what he said. I think I'll go home now. And that's exactly what I did on the way to Las Vegas. I quit right in the middle because I was tired. I had stitches in my back, even though it doesn't hurt. It still took a lot of blood out of me, and I was just beat up. And my dad came out to me in the middle of the night when I was wheeling this marathon to try and get to Las Vegas, and he said, "How have you been measuring your success?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he said, "How have you been counting your success? How do you measure it?" And I said, "Dad, I've been looking at the green mile markers, so I know right where I'm at." And he said, "They're not coming as fast as they used to in the beginning of the race. Maybe you should try and put some horse blinders on and start counting the yellow stripes in the middle of the road." And once I started to do that, I was able to finish that race in 11 days. And it relates to what we're talking about now, because it's breaking things up into little bits and pieces. And there's a passage that I love that says something along the lines that don't run faster than you have strength for. And sometimes I think we get so caught up in all of the rhetoric of the era. I'm talking about maybe a little bit of politics, all of our differences, the things that we see other people do. And there's so much anger and contention and contentment, and not contentment, but contention. And just, I think when we start to settle down and do what we can in our day, we get to die and we get to come alive every day. We go to sleep. We get to come alive. And what we do with that day, and as we break it up, we find at the end of the day that even if we didn't get all of our tasks done and we accomplished a couple of things, I told you my book is about doing 2 or 3 things and doing them. We do that, the day is a success. It is very much a success. So anyway, that's kind of how I approach.
It's amazing
my life.
How our mind can get in our way, because nothing physically changed on your race except for the way that you perceived it in your mind, right? And so it's like you have to find ways, and I certainly do this and everything that I do, but if I can make it a game, it's more enjoyable and more attainable for me, right? So you change the game from a mile marker to the yellow stripes. And for me, I like to win at whatever I'm doing, checkers with my son or guess who, it doesn't matter, I want to win.
Competitive.
Yes. And so the bracelets allow me to compete with myself internally. And I think what you said at the end is so important, because I've got a journal that I do at night, and on there I'll write down, I do my gratitude, and then I say, what were 3 big wins for the day? And the reason I think that's so important is you can ask someone like, hey, what's been going on last week? What have you accomplished? Like, oh, nothing. Because they've not taken the time to remember all the things that they've done. Like, we're succeeding every single day, but if you don't take a minute to acknowledge, and that's even what the bracelet does, it kind of pauses time for you and allows you to realize like, oh, I just did a thing I wanted to do. And you can go through life and be in such a subconscious state that you're not even aware of all of these milestones that you're achieving. And then you look back over the last week or the last month, like, it was okay. But if you actually had a journal of all the things that happened throughout the day, you'd be like, oh my gosh, last 30 days have been unbelievable, But again,
spot on.
The reality is the same. It's our mindset that's different.
You're nailing on such key principles that have been so impactful and influential throughout my life that I hope that the listeners that are listening to your podcast, whenever they're listening to this, take these solid truths and apply them, because they truly are life altering, life changing. And I believe that the most successful people in the world, whether that's monetarily, whether that's spiritually, health, do exactly what we're talking about right now. They don't build muscle over one night. They build it over what they do every single day and the little things they do every day. They don't lose weight overnight. They do it by, it takes 2 and 3 and 4 weeks and 5 weeks and 6 weeks, and they do it consistently. They stay healthy. They don't quit a bad habit for a week or 2 weeks. They do it over a lifetime. And if they falter or have a mishap, they get back on the track and say, all right, we're starting the sucker over again. So I think that you're on to something.
Well, and you kind of talked about like society a little bit before and all that's going on. And I think that's part of it too, is that I think we don't want the solution to be as easy as it is. Because like when you think about, let's say you use fitness, you want to have a 6-pack, it's like you do the same stuff now as we did when we were cavemen. You exercise and you eat right, like it's not rocket science.
Not rocket science,
but we want to buy Ozempic and we want to just like have some shakes and we just want it to be easy.
What's the easiest way possible? Dr. Oz, tell me how to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what people want, and that's just not the reality. And so I think
I love this saying that goes along with what you're saying. No one's ever climbed downhill. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? No one's ever climbed downhill. Think about that for a second. I love that saying. That's by John Maxwell. And
he's great.
It's an uphill battle, and we fight there. We fight to lose the weight. We fight to be strong. We fight to provide for our families. We fight to have a good relationship. We fight for our relationship. We fight for our marriage. We fight for everything. And so, and that fight is not a bad fight. That's a good fight.
Yeah.
We fight for life. We fight for air. We fight for extra days. So I think those are good fights to have, and those are battles worth fighting for.
Yeah, and I think it starts with defining what it is you want to fight for. Because some people, I think, they just think they're supposed to fight for something, and then when they don't have that desire, they feel lesser than. But it's like, no, you just don't want the thing you think you're fighting for. Find the thing you really want, and fighting's going to feel a lot easier.
Passion.
Yeah. So I'm curious, where you've been talking for 24 years. Have you had a similar message, or do you have like the same talk every time, or does it vary based on audience? What would you?
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a great question to ask. When I started out, it was kind of like my story, which most people can relate to because very few break their neck and live through it. But over the course of time, it's kind of diversified itself out to where I will customize for every single audience that I'm speaking to. I will have a hour-long conference call with the boss and the CEO or the meeting planner or whoever's in charge, make sure that I have their objectives down. It doesn't mean that I'm an expert on all topics, but I will make sure that I customize and deliver on what they're trying to accomplish with their meeting. And then I have an entourage of stories in a library. I'll pick 2 or 3 out of those several hundred to share and then relate to the principles that the meeting planner wants to hit. And so whether I'm talking to high school students or whether I'm talking to Ford, or whether I'm talking to the Baltimore Ravens or a college basketball team, all of which I have done, or the Dallas Mavericks, or one of Mark Cuban's clients from Shark Tank, which I've done. I say that again, not to be pompous. I want to make it relative to the audience.
Yeah, no, I love that. I saw your picture on Instagram of you and Dirk Nowinski together.
So yeah, it's not just one talk and it's not one keynote. It's how can I make it relative to them and help them in some of the goals and aspirations that they're trying to achieve with their people.
And from the tactical part of speaking, do you now, because you've just got that on the, the all of those different stories that you can tap into, are you practicing your speeches, or are you kind of just free flowing based on the fact that you've told the story
Man, I
so many
wish I could
times
tell I was
over?
practicing. I think my practice happens on the stage, and then I record it usually, and I'll watch it afterwards and see what I would have changed. But to tell you that I rehearse in front of a mirror or that I record myself, that's not a bad thing. I just haven't done a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't do it either. I went to the speaking class and they were like, you got to rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And I felt like, man, every time I do that, it feels forced. And if I just
It's
go,
not authentic.
yeah, and
It's not organic.
no. And so if I just go up and do it, because I know the framework, generally speaking, of course, it's my idea.
Absolutely.
So I know what I want to talk about, but I prefer to have some flexibility in how I go about it. And I find that to be more authentic and a better version of the talk, even though it may not flow as smoothly as it could if I just had it all rehearsed. But I was
You're
curious. I mean, 24-year career, I really was wondering how it is you've been so successful at doing that.
Yeah, it's been, I don't even know that I can answer that. It's been a blessing. And I'm still blessed to be able to do it. And now things are changing a little bit with the lodge and having a son come on board. And I've got another son who's always around and helping us out. He's a self-employed general contractor, and he's involved in my life heavily in it and always been supportive and has traveled with me around the world. Both boys have. And then I have a daughter that, sometimes she'll share the stage with me. And I have a little boy from Ethiopia who sometimes will share the stage with me. And so all my kids have been involved, including Shondell, mom, my wife, who's been involved. And so it's been, it's 24 years. I can't, it's gone by way too fast.
Is your son that's now on board, is he speaking then as well?
He's running the lodge part of it and doing our mastermind groups.
Okay.
But yes, eventually as he gains experience, I mean, he has spoke with me before and shared the stage, but he'll do more and more of that. And he'll eventually end up probably doing much more of it than I will. So he'll take over that role.
Talk about your mastermind group. So is that something you guys are doing at the lodge then, like you had mentioned?
Yeah.
So what?
We do twice a year. So it's called the Achievers Roundtable,
Okay.
achieversroundtable.com. And I've got several different pillars. So one pillar might be women in business. One pillar might be CEOs and executives, so C-suite type people. Another group might be contractors. And so those are all divvied out. And then I bring those groups in for 3 days, twice a year. And then we have our conference call or a Zoom call once a month. And then they also have access to the lodge when they need it for their own retreats. So
that's awesome.
That's the benefits that they get.
And is the best way to, if someone's interested in that, who's listening to this, just to go onto that website and get all the information?
Yeah, achieversroundtable.com.
Okay, I'll be sure to get all the links from you to include so we don't miss anything. And I had a note on here, Tragedy or Blessing. Was that another book that you wrote?
It is.
So tell me about that one.
So I was asked on a television talk show by a well-known talk show host if I could go back and change what happened to me in order to avoid the pain, the people that I hurt, in order to avoid just the mental struggle, the accidents, the bowel accidents, the bladder accidents, all the challenges that come with being 95% numb, being completely dependent on other people, completely dependent on others to get loaded up into a vehicle, to get on an airplane. And if I go back and change that, would I change it? And my answer after thinking about it was very simple. It was no. And it's not because I don't miss walking or I don't miss holding my wife's hand or playing ball with the kids. But if I had to go back and change what happened to me, I would have to forego the 24 years that I've experienced the last 24 years and all that I've learned and all the people that I've met. And I'm not changing that. So that's Tragedy or Blessing. And that's the name of the book. And that's kind of the circumference around that. It's been a great blessing, not a tragedy.
Well, I love that because I ask people on this podcast, one of the questions I ask is, what's your biggest loss? And people always struggle to answer that for the exact reason that you just mentioned. Like, obviously, that was a major loss, losing your ability to walk and feel and live a quote unquote normal life. But you wouldn't change it because look at all that's come from it, right? And I think that's how losses are for people's lives. you lose a job or something bad happens. And in the moment, obviously it's terrible. When you were in that hospital bed being visited by your friend, that was a terrible time. But once you have enough of a runway, we usually appreciate those obstacles in life because it allows us to become who we are. And so the reason that I like to share that is someone is listening to this right now or watching it on YouTube, and they're in that part that sucks. And when you're in that part that sucks, you can't see through it. You can't, when you're in the tragedy, you can't see the blessing.
Yeah, it's too dark. I agree. Again, I go back to that, no one's ever climbed downhill, and most successful people in life, in whatever realm we're talking about success and how you measure success, they've gone through major challenges. If I can take the liberty here and maybe share something that I learned from a pastor that there was this he was leading a group of people, and he was talking to them and facilitating, and one of the ladies raised her hand and she said, me and my husband, we're doing everything right. We're going to church, we're paying our tithing, we're fasting, we're trying our best, and we can't have any children. And I don't understand why God would not let us have children when we're trying to do everything right. And the pastor's response was phenomenal. He said this: "You're falling into a trap that I don't want you to fall into." And he began to very eloquently, with empathy, say that every person in the book that the lady believes in, happened to be the Bible, did not have a cherry life. They want to be like the person in that book, be like Christ. If we're talking about Christianity, they want to be like that and live like that, but they don't want to go through the headache. And that is a trap that a lot of people fall into. You don't have to be religious. I'm not here to talk about Christianity or Buddhism. I'm just saying that a lot of us want that kind of easy pathway that you and I were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And Kobe Bryant didn't make the all-time scoring record by doing it. LeBron James didn't. I can think of tons of athletes that they put in those extra hours, the extra time to get there, and they've gone through major sacrifice. Back to that biblical thing, Christ crucified, Judas Iscariot beheaded upside down. I mean, there's not one story in the Bible, not one, where somebody had a coastal ride, male or female. They all went through some sort of massive challenge or change in their life. And I think there's something exalting and successful about going through change and adversity. I'll say it again. I think there's something very exalting and successful about going through change and adversity. So that's the message. And again, I hope I can share that in the podcast.
No, that's wonderful.
You viewers thinking that I'm trying to preach to you or anything like that. I'm not ordained to be a pastor or anything like that. I thought that was a very powerful message that he shared.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's something I try and share, especially with the young listeners who think they want a particular thing. I mean, I know even when I was younger, there was like a dollar amount that I thought, oh, that dollar amount will represent, like, that's what I want. And then I've got friends who are making that dollar amount. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, that sounds terrible. So be careful.
Never was success.
No. You got to be careful what you wish for, because to your point of Kobe and LeBron, and you don't know how much work they put in to be that great. Now, it'd be awesome if you could just be as great as them, and you just happen naturally. You didn't have to do anything, of course, but they put in so much work to get to those levels. And so,
Right.
you got to be really careful with comparisons, because you're looking where someone is at currently without seeing how they got there. In fact, just my daughter this last week, she's 11, and one of her friends was kind of jealous. Was like, oh, your life is so good and you have all these things and yada, yada, yada. And I said, sweetie, you got to tell her we used to live in a 983 square foot house, with me, you, your mom, your brother, and 2 dogs. Like, she's seeing what
the living room and the kitchen. That was it. And a bathroom, maybe.
Yeah. She's seeing where we are today, but she didn't know you when our life was like that, and we only get to have what we have now because we struggled through that period of time. And so it's so interesting, because even at 11, I'm already now seeing those things happening for her with comparisons, and comparisons can get you in such a spot that's not healthy for anyone. And you've really got to be careful.
Saying, brother, the comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yeah,
it is. It will take away all your success. And I love your concept about money. Money never was happiness. I mean, look Look at some of the most wealthy people in the world. What are they doing with their money now? They're giving it away to those that need food.
Yeah. Well, there
I
was there's an author, Robin Shamara, and one of my favorite authors. He's got a book out now, The Wealth Money Can't Buy. I haven't read it yet, but my wife's reading it right now, and she said that he was talking about this gentleman who he went to visit. Robin did, one of his clients, and he had this amazing, the most incredible house you've ever seen. 30,000 square feet, just absolutely immaculate and perfect. And he went to visit him, and he was the only person there. And he asked, like, where's your family? He didn't have any friends. And it's like, at what cost? You see that house on a picture and you're like, oh my gosh, I'd love to live in that house. But would you take that house at the cost of your friends and family? Of course not. Rationally, you wouldn't. But you wouldn't know necessarily from a picture of a beautiful house that that's what it ended up costing that individual to have it. So I think focus on what you want and why you want those things for yourself, and don't get lost in where other people are at, because you never know where they're at in their journey.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's kind of funny with today, with the world at our fingertips with social media, everybody posts their best pictures and their life on the beach and on the yacht. And yet we lost Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
Who made everybody laugh. 6 children, married to a gorgeous wife. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying maybe he wanted to be with his best friend, who just so happened to be Christopher Reeves, who he went to college with. And Robin is one that was there for Christopher Reeves when he woke up from a coma and was pronounced a quadriplegic, and stuck by his side and helped him start that foundation, which is spinal cord research. And you just never know. Robin made one of us laugh, and was incredible. And so
absolutely.
You're absolutely right. I think of Robin a lot. I think of Chris Farley. I couldn't look at him and watch him without laughing.
Yeah.
The motivational speaker who lives in a van down by the river. You guys got to look that up. It's on Saturday Night Live. Chris Farley, motivational speaker who lives in a van down by the river. And he just made every one of us laugh. And yet he was fighting demons. And I think all of us fight through demons. And so you can't judge a book by the way the sucker looks. You just can't do it. So
funny you bring up Chris Farley. I just made a Tommy Boy reference on a conference call today, so it's fitting.
I love Tommy Boy. My wife hates it. I love Tommy Boy. Love it.
They don't make comedies like that anymore.
No. It's a great movie.
So as you've worked on your career and you've continued to speak for all this period of time, are there any mentors or books that you've found that have been super impactful for you on this journey? As obviously you have a desire to continue to bestow new wisdom. Yes.
The Art of War. Love that. The book Aspire.
I don't know Aspire. Do you know who that author is? I don't know that book.
Kevin Hall.
Kevin Hall.
Yeah. Chasing the Impossible. Rachel Rutherford. Great book. Gosh, I got a whole library sitting right here, but there's 10 or 12 that I just absolutely love. I got Big Ideas by Case Beckson. That's a great book. There's another one. Oh yeah. The Morning Mantra is a good one. We Are the They. That's a good one. The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Technos. That's a great one. And then Becoming More by Diana Kokosko. There's another one as well. So hopefully people will write those down, and those are all books I've got here. I've got a whole library around here of books that have influenced my life and that I mark up and take notes on and jot different ideas down of.
They're such a gift.
1 or 2 things that I want to get, right? 1 or 2 things out of the book.
Yeah.
Not all the ideas from every chapter, just 1 or 2 things that I can take from that book and develop.
If you're struggling with a book, can you put it down and forget it?
Say that again. If
you're struggling getting through a book, are you the type that can just put it on the shelf and say, I'm not going to read it anymore? Or do you feel like you got to finish it?
I kind of feel like I have to finish it, but it probably might take me a little bit longer to do so. I can't say that I've ever really put down a book and not felt compelled to finish a book.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But the people I know read like the most books that are just like crushing through, say if a book doesn't sing to you, put it down and get a different one. Because what happens is
they count that book as they read it, right?
No, they don't. They don't? Nope, they don't. They say it's not for me and go to the next one.
Yeah, I feel like I need to try and get the most out of the book, even if I might. And there's been books like that I haven't really gotten a lot out of, or maybe I haven't resonated with the book as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I didn't get one or two things out of that
Sure.
book.
I
Right?
think there's a season to it too. You might just be reading it at the wrong time for you, you know? Is there a speaker that you found that because obviously on this circuit of speaking, you get to see amazing speakers as well. Who would you say is the speaker you've enjoyed seeing speak the most besides your wife?
The most, huh? Jeez. Oh, there are so many good ones out there that are doing so many cool things. I love Tiffany Peterson. She has an organization called the Lighthouse Principles. She's phenomenal. I love Derek Sivers. Simon Sinek is incredible.
Yeah, I love
Got to share
Simon.
the stage with him. Russell Brunson, who isn't really a speaker by business. He started ClickFunnels, but he does a great job sharing his message across.
I thought so. I thought he was a very engaging speaker.
He is Russell, and he's passionate.
Yep.
I mean, those
You can
speakers
feel
that are
it.
the best ones are the passionate ones. So there are some really good speakers out there that I just really, really enjoyed listening to, who have honed in a good message. And again, they're sharing their passions from the platform, and or their passion from the platform. And I love listening to people that are like that. Holland is a good one as well. I just there are some really, really good ones. Jeff Holland is who I'm talking about. I can listen to Jeff Holland all the time. He just makes me laugh, and he relates to the principle, and he's great.
What's your favorite country you've traveled to speak?
Country is Dubai.
I'd love to go to Dubai.
I love going to Asia. We'll be going to Thailand and North Korea. I'm sorry, North Korea. Yeah, I wish. South Korea. This March, we have a family trip planned for that. So we're going to take the family back there and spend about 14 days in those two countries. I love Asia, love the Philippines.
Where's your favorite place in Asia?
It is Thailand.
It is.
My favorite place.
I haven't been to Thailand yet. I really want to go. Have you been to Singapore?
Oh yeah.
Singapore is an amazing city.
Phenomenal place. Yeah. Everybody should have an opportunity to go check that out. I know everybody can't do that. I get that. My work is what's taken me there, but Singapore is phenomenal. People are beautiful. Philippines is incredible to me as well. And I just think Asia people in general are beautiful people.
Yeah, what I loved about Singapore, because I've been to Asia twice. I've been to Shanghai and Singapore. And what I loved about Singapore is it is such a melting pot. You've got people from all over the world, but the spoken tongue is English. And so it was so much easier to navigate than being in Shanghai, where I didn't meet anyone who spoke English besides the people who I was with, you know?
Yeah.
And
same with South Korea. No one speaks, the language. Very, very few.
yeah.
And when they do come up to you and start to, because they see you're American, it's very broken. It's hard to catch everything.
Yeah, when we were in Shanghai, so Shanghai is like their historic skyline is called the Bund. That's their name, not ours. And we were asking people, where's the Bund? And they didn't even know what we were saying. And it's like, I thought that was your word, We even asked a police officer, and he's like,
it happens all the time in foreign countries, foreign languages.
Yeah.
I have a hard time in France. I do. The language is so thick. I mean, their dialect and their accent is so thick that I can't quite delve into it. Sometimes I even have a hard time in Brisbane or even Sydney. Perth, Australia is not so bad, but boy, it gets thick. It's like being in the States. You go to New Jersey, you really got to listen close.
Yeah, it's true.
Very, very close, right? So you go down to Alabama, you gotta pick up the twang. Otherwise, you're gonna miss out on half the sentence. So
that's absolutely true. Okay, a couple questions for you, and we'll wrap up so you can go enjoy Halloween with your family. With all the things that you have done, I find it curious to know, like, what's next for you? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What's that milestone that's 3 or 5 years down the road? That's the next really exciting thing that you hope to accomplish.
I'd like to see Kyler and the lodge really take off to where that legacy can be left after I'm gone.
Yeah.
So I want to see that built, and my big audacious goal is I'd spent 24 years on the road, 28 days average, 20 days a month.
Wow.
I didn't say 20 days a year, 20 days a month. We haven't got into this today, and I'm not going to dive into it right now in deep detail, but it's been a scapegoat for me to that beautiful lady that you saw earlier. I sometimes have a hard time letting her help me. So my drug of choice has been to stay away and be busy. And she understands that. I still haven't mastered that today.
Yeah.
It's one of the hard things about, right now in this era in my life is being home more, because I am trying to grow the lodge. And when I'm at home, Shondell insists on kind of helping me. And I know I said for better or worse. I didn't mean it. So I'm still, trying to figure that out. And I guess that goal is to, to be happy at home as much as I am happy in a Marriott somewhere.
Yeah. So when you travel, who helps you with all those things that you need?
People that I'm not in love with.
That's a lot easier, isn't it?
It is. I love them. I'm just not married to them.
Yeah, because then it's more of like, that's like their job. They're helping you.
I love them. Yeah. Even if it's not their job, even if it's not, I'm not married to them.
Yeah.
It's not the love of my life. I love them. They're angels from God. They help me. I get help all the time. I'm just not married to them. I know it sounds fun to have your wife shower you. It's not fun.
Yeah.
To have your wife help you get dressed, I'm grateful for all that. It's just not how I planned it.
Yeah, I get that. Not want to feel like a burden to her.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So when I'm gone, I can pay a bellman $10 and he'll bring me food.
Yeah.
I can order DoorDash. When I'm at home, I don't want to take her away from her horses outside. If I need help clicking the controller, if I want to order room service, I just,
it's a very real thing. That's great for you to share.
It's very real.
Yeah.
This is as raw. What you and I are talking about right now, this is as raw as it gets. And this is it. I don't know too many people that would enjoy that. And so again, I am incredibly grateful for Shondell. I just sometimes, more often than not, struggle with having her, and she knows that, and she's been patient. She, I'm just still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that'll be a forever struggle.
That won't ever stop.
Yeah,
it won't.
Well,
both know that.
Then the next question is, what's the biggest win you've ever had in your life?
That I'm still married to the girl.
I knew that. I knew the answer to that one before I asked. I knew that's where that was going to go.
By far. I mean, the fact that she is stuck by my side, the fact that the kids are very loyal to me, and they don't say, "Hey, Dad, sure wish you could play ball." I've never heard that.
Yeah,
I've never heard that. Dad, you're playing ball. We're going. Dad, we're going to go sit front row at the football game. Dad, you're going. Dad, you're going to get in the tractor. We're going to go bale hay at midnight. You're going. I mean, I've never heard, Dad, sure wish. Dad, you're going to get on the tube behind the boat. We're going to be right with you. You're going. I mean, it's just unreal. So I've never been left behind, ever.
I love that. What would you say is the key for you? You guys have been married for 30 years. What would you say is the key to making it that long in a marriage?
The key to, I wish I was some sort of marriage expert. I'm not. I think the key to it, I don't even know if it's great communication, because I don't think I'm the best communicator with Shondell. Sometimes I go silent when I'm struggling, and that kills her, that devastates her. I think the key is just compassion. The root word of compassion is passion. Passion has nothing to do with intimacy at all. Nothing to do with sex. Passion is being willing to suffer for those that you love. And that girl's willing to suffer for me. And I would do anything for her, and she knows that. And so I want to make sure that she has the lifestyle that she deserves. So that's passion.
I love that definition of passion. Okay, then the last question I have for you, and we've kind of alluded to it throughout the episode, but how do you define success?
Success is knowing, it's very simple. Success is knowing that those that know you the best love and care about you the most. And if you do not have those people on your side, you have a problem.
Oh, damn, that's good. Can you say that one more time?
Success is knowing that those that know you the best, those that are in your closest circles, your spouse, your kids, your family, your employees, whoever that is for you, those that know you the best love and care about you the most. And if you do not have those people on your side, you have a problem.
That might be my favorite. This is episode 76. It might be my favorite answer yet. I've never had anyone repeat it twice. So that's great. I love that.
That's my definition of success right there. I know that I have my wife and my kids by my side. I know that. No matter what mistake I made, no matter how bad of a day I have, no matter what happens, they're going to be by my side. I know that.
Wow. What an awesome way to end. I can't think of a better way. Thank you for giving us this much time of your day, Chad, especially when your granddaughter's coming and you got Halloween to celebrate. I really appreciate it. I love this just as much as the first time I got to see you speak, and I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, buddy. It's been an honor.
Okay. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.